In 1869, 4 years after the end of the American Civil War, United States Army Captain James West and United States Marshal Artemus Gordon were about to cross paths with each other at Morgan, West Virginia, while looking for the same target and being undercover at the same time. West was in a bath with a lady trying to intercept weapons that were supposed to be delivered to Bloodbath McGrath, an ex-Confederate general who is seemingly responsible for killing his parents. At the same time, Gordon was in a brothel dressed as a woman and took McGrath into a room where he was interrogating him after hypnotizing him with a spiral loop. While Gordon was asking him about a scientist named Guillermo Escobar, whom he was about to exchange for some weapons, West, who jumped on one of the horses of the cart carrying the weapons, sneaked to the window and crashed through it. He is about to shoot McGrath, but Gordon interferes and stops him because he has not gotten the information yet. As the two confront each other, McGrath attacks West, and a fight emerges. The fight continued into the main hall, but West and Morgan ended up confronting again, and both got shocked as they revealed their real identities to each other. Meanwhile, Dr. Arliss Lovelace, a brilliant engineer and an ex-Confederate soldier without legs, and his female agents are present to take Escobar. One of the female agents lip reads the conversation between West and Morgan. After taking Escobar to their custody, Lovelace releases a wagon full of explosives into the brothel and blows up the place, but both West and Morgan survive. A few days later, Morgan and West meet at the White House in Washington, D.C., and President Ulysses S. Grant tells them that they will be working together. They both protested at first, but the president gave a final order. He informs them that America's top scientists in the fields of physics, hydraulics, and explosives were all kidnapped by McGrath. Then, he gives them a letter sent from McGrath saying that the scientists are working on a weapon system and the United States government has to surrender in 1 week. West believes that this is the work of McGrath, but Gordon is convinced that another mastermind might be behind the kidnappings. Although both had their differences, the president ordered them to find and stop whoever was behind all of the madness in 1 week. Both board their train, the Wanderer, a special train equipped with weapons. It didn't take long before they were fighting amongst themselves. West punched him using his fist, but Gordon pushed a button next to him, and West found himself strapped to a pool table, which rolled to the bottom of the train after being knocked out by a wooden hammer. West retaliated by pushing another button, which caused Gordon to be in the same situation as him. After the back and forth, West and Gordon examined the severed head of a scientist named Thaddeus Morton, another scientist kidnapped from MIT 6 months ago. Using special equipment, Gordon was able to reveal the last image Dr. Morton saw before he died. The image contained an invitation letter to a costume ball in New Orleans, which was their destination. In New Orleans, West sneaks into the ball and meets May Lee East, Lovelace's personal assistant, while Gordon mixes with the crowd as a guest. West asks her about General McGrath, but she tells him there is no guest by that name. She leaves him to enjoy the ball, while Dr. Lovelace, who was thought dead, reveals himself to everyone. West meets Lovelace, who tells him that he hasn't seen McGrath in a long time. After some intimidating conversation with West, Lovelace goes to meet McGrath in his office. McGrath complains about the weapons that were destroyed on the night West and Gordon crashed the brothel, and Lovelace makes him an appointment in the middle of a river, promising to deliver the weapons. Delighted with the response, General McGrath leaves the office with Lovelace. As soon as Lovelace and McGrath leave the office, West appears from the other side of a curtain and enters the office. While West was trying to discover the location, May Lee East suddenly entered the room. She tries to distract West using her seduction technique, but he doesn't fall for it. He kills the camouflaged men and leaves the office, but gets discovered when he mistakes a lady in a red dress for Gordon. Meanwhile, Gordon enters an adult playroom and finds Rita Escobar, a girl hired as an entertainer. Rita was locked in a cage, but Gordon rescued her. On the other hand, West is about to be hanged for his crime, but he somehow sweet-talks the crowd and creates a distraction, which he uses to escape and land on the carriage to join Rita and Gordon. Gordon introduces Rita to West, and she tells both of them that she is not really an entertainer, but got herself to be recruited so that she could find her father, Guillermo Escobar. West takes one of the horses of the carriage and goes to the location he discovered in the office. McGrath's soldiers arrived at the location where they were asked to be, while McGrath himself himself stood with Loveless on a boat across a river. Loveless revealed his new steam-powered prototype tank and used the soldiers for target practice. McGrath angrily confronts Loveless, who accuses him of betraying him at the Appomattox courthouse, one of their last battles of the American Civil War. Enraged by the continued massacre of his soldiers despite his protest, McGrath pulls his gun and points it to Loveless's head, but he ends up being shot by Loveless, who uses one of the guns on his wheelchair. After demonstrating destruction with the prototype, Loveless tells the other generals on the boat to bring him 1,000 kilograms of gold to Spider Canyon, promising to reveal his biggest weapon yet. West, Rita, and Gordon arrive to see the dead soldiers. West reveals the same type of machine was used at New Liberty, Illinois, a free slave town just over the border. After telling the sad story, West hears McGrath groaning and approaches him. McGrath tells him that Loveless was the one responsible for the New Liberty massacre, and he was the one that framed him. West asks him where Loveless is going, but McGrath dies before saying another word. Rita, who knows about Loveless's destination, agrees to tell them where he is going in exchange for allowing her to come with them. West breaks the deal and leaves for Utah without her, but Rita sneaks into the Wanderer. Rita tries to seduce West by kissing him and also gains the attention of Gordon, who also tries his best to impress her. In the morning, they prepare to catch up to Loveless, who used the tunnels to mask his location. The Wanderer came out of the tunnel and found out Loveless was following them in his tank. West uses one of the train's gadgets, and after some struggle, lands on the tank. He defeats McGraw's men, but Loveless shoots a long hook into the train and attaches to it, causing it to stop. Rita panics in the middle of all this and accidentally releases a sleeping gas, which knocks out Gordon, West, and herself. West and Gordon wake up next to a cornfield with a magnetic metal device attached to their necks, and Loveless, who was now taken control of the train and kidnapped Rita, announces that he will travel to Spider Canyon and also capture President Ulysses S. Grant at the railway ceremony. Then, he leaves them to deal with the deadly trap that he set for them. Gordon tried to work on the magnetic devices, but his tools were gone, and he discovered a note that warns them against walking out of the designated parameters and electrical wire surrounding them. West gets impatient and crosses the wire, which triggers a machine that releases huge circular discs of blades. They narrowly escape the blades by making them collide with each other. After struggling to get the magnetic devices off their necks, Gordon finds his auxiliary toolkit in a nearby river and removes them. The next day, West and Gordon travel on foot through the desert. Luckily, they discover Loveless's private train track and follow it to the Wanderer, which stops at Spider Canyon, where he has a very large number of industries. They ended up discovering Loveless's ultimate weapon when a gigantic mechanical spider armed with nitroglycerine cannons appeared on top of them and got past them. West and Gordon go back to the Wanderer, arm themselves, and ride to the railway ceremony, which is already on the way. But when the gold spike was about to be hammered in, Loveless showed up in the mechanical spider and met the president. He asked the president to surrender to him, blowing up some of the trains for the sake of intimidation. Suddenly, Gordon, who has worn makeup that makes him look exactly like the president, shows up from the bank and tries to get the president away from the scene by painting him as a paid actor. At the same time, West climbs up the mechanical spider and comes face to face with Loveless's henchwoman, who shoots him in the chest. West fell to the ground and was left for dead. Loveless decided not to waste time and took the president and Gordon into the mechanical spider. After reaching his industry, he holds a celebration in front of other generals and some of his prisoners. He announced his plan to dissolve the United States between many countries who gave him their support. West wakes up and finds out that one of Gordon's bulletproof gadgets was saved his life. He goes back to the Wanderer and gets an idea about how to save everyone after discovering a gun hidden in a belt and seeing one of Gordon's costumes. When the president refuses to surrender the United States, Loveless threatens to shoot Gordon, now free of makeup. But as one of the henchwomen is about to fire, West appears as a belly dancer and distracts Loveless as he passes a key to the handcuffs to Gordon, who carefully frees himself. Eventually, West's identity was discovered when he unsuccessfully tried to use one of Gordon's gadgets. Loveless escapes on his mechanical spider and takes the president with him. With time running out, West decides to try Gordon's idea of a flying machine, which ends up being successful. In the meantime, Loveless keeps blowing up different houses and establishments in order to force the president into surrendering. West and Gordon catch up to the mechanical spider and drop explosives on top of it. After being shot multiple times, they crash land on the spider and knock on one of the Loveless's women, causing her to fall. But they were caught immediately. Loveless gives West and Gordon a chance to switch sides, but West makes him angry and gets dropped into the lower level, where he fights with an armless man who pulls out a sword. Another two men join the fight and try to take down West, but he defeats all three. His final challenge came from a man with a metal head who couldn't be knocked out despite all of West's efforts, but he falls off the spider after being electrocuted. Finally, Loveless goes down to fight West and almost beats him after using his hidden metal legs. Gordon uses his concealed gun to shoot one of Loveless's legs, which causes him to be left with only his upper body. The president and Gordon try to defeat the henchwoman and try to control the mechanical spider. As the spider approaches a cliff, Loveless gets back to his wheelchair and tries to kill West with his concealed gun. Instead of hitting West, he shoots the spider, causing it to halt on the cliff edge. Both West and Loveless fall from the spider, but West survives by catching a chain that is hanging. After defeating Loveless, a ceremony was held and President Ulysses S. Grant appointed West and Gordon as Secret Service agents. As the president leaves on the Wanderer, Rita comes back and thanks them for everything, but she crushed their hopes of dating her in the future after revealing that Guillermo Escobar is her husband and not her father. At the end of the movie, Gordon and West are seen riding the mechanical spider towards the sunset. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching.